Hey everyone, got an extra day off from work today. Maybe if you're here in the US, you do. It's Labor Day. So what are you going to do with that day to improve your eBay business? I think I said eBay business. That was weird.
Subliminal.
Your eBay business and make it even better. Well, we've got some tips for you on how to spend this extra day off. So welcome to the channel. I am Prof Sales.
And I'm not. I'm Karin.
And on this channel, we talk about reselling. We talk about being in business for yourself, being an entrepreneur, ways to earn income, and hopefully to become a just better, well-rounded business individual and maybe even individual.
And maybe make a little money on the way.
That's always a good thing. So today we want to talk about having a holiday or an extra day to do things. Now, I know a lot of people out there, Karin, are not necessarily full-timers. They're part-timers.
That is correct. Well, they're full-timers on the eBay, but they might be full-timers, part-timers on the eBay, full-timers on the 9-to-5er.
Right. So you may have a day off from work today because it is Labor Day here in the United States. And a lot of people are off from work today. Banks are closed, post offices are closed, all kinds of things. So we thought it would be a good opportunity to talk about maybe some things you can do when you have a extra day. Why'd I have to put air quotes? I don't even know if that...
Because when you flip that and when you're a full-timer on the eBay or on the e-commerce way or whatever, I don't know that you really get a day off.
You don't, right? But a lot of you may be off from your full-time job today. And if you're full-time eBayer, maybe this is just another day for you. But even there might be a time, there might be this situation where like you don't get to, like you're not going to go to the post office today because the post office is not open.
You're not going to go to the bank because the bank's not open.
Yeah, there'll be things you may not do today. Maybe you plan to spend time with the family today, and that's cool too. That's always a great use of an extra day.
Yeah, let's put a plug in right now for mental health. If you have not had time off in a long time, that should be at the top of your list. You know, get out, disconnect, reconnect with real humans, not your electronics, and just decompress for a while. So that's my #1 vote for today. If you need to get away and focus on some human things, please, please, please do that.
Right.
But if you're covered in that department and you've got extra time, that's what we're going to talk about today.
That's what we're going to talk about. So we have here I did 7. Math, it's hard. We have 7. We have 7 tips here. 7 things on a checklist, I guess, for lack of a better word, that I thought about when I thought about having an extra day. Like, what could you do with it? What could you use it for? So let's go through them. And these are not really in order. It's not like the first one's the best one or most important one or the one you have to do. So put them in any order you want. Use whichever ones you want. Don't use ones, whatever you like to do. The first thing I have is to catch up on your receipts, sourcing info, business metrics, etc. So in other words, your receipts into your spreadsheet or track them, and maybe you're using QuickBooks Online or something like that. Do that, get that done. You know, it's kind of a boring thing to do, but it's an important thing to do. Maybe you haven't put in your sourcing information. Maybe you've kind of been keeping track of where you've been going and what you've been doing and what you've been finding. It's all jumbled up. Like it's a bunch of receipts lying around. Like in my wallet, I've got about 10 or 12 receipts right now. And I'm like, I need to get those, put where I put receipts to save for my business and so on, and enter in that I bought those items onto my spreadsheets. Like, okay, I bought all these items. Here's what I paid for them, whatever. What else you can do? Business metrics. You know, how's your business doing? Is your sell-through good? Is your average selling price good? Are you making enough profit per item? Things you need to probably look at on a day off. Is a great day to do it. Sometimes during the day, you know, if you're working a full-time job, you just probably feel like you don't have time to do that stuff.
Right. And we tend to, what we like to do the most, and a lot of these things that you just mentioned, side.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll get to those later. Well, then January's and February's and March's, they all kind of get lumped together because you kept pushing them off.
Right.
So it's a good idea to get caught up. You know, not everything that we do here is fun. And there are some things that we have to just up and get to it.
You just got to do them. Yep.
You also mentioned something that I don't know if other folks do or not, but we have the greatest of intentions when we source our regular honey holes or whatever. And then we make new ones, and there's these, you know, we like places, we don't like places. It's not a bad idea to keep track of, you know, in your own way, how you do, right? Because we were talking, you've added different regions and Goodwills to the Trello list, and we're going to start keeping better track of, you know, whether we like that store, or it was,
right,
you know, going to be good or not.
Nothing's worse than when you go to an area that you haven't been to, maybe in a while, maybe 3 months, 6 months, maybe even longer. And, you know, you start looking on a map. It's like, all right, I want to go here. I want to go there. And you think, well, were those good for me last time? And you don't know. And you end up going back to some of the same stores, same locations, and you realize, oh, this was not good. Like if I would have known that, I could just saved 40 minutes of driving time, you know, there and back sometimes. So I think that there's value in that. If you're going to be hitting the same areas over and over, even if it's your own hometown, kind of keeping track of where you go and, you know, whether you want to go back to there or not. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Well, especially if it's a place that, say, you have to travel a great distance for, like if you're doing sourcing field trips, if you will. We're not really good, at least in some of the regions we visited last year, for example. If we went to a place and it was not what it said it was, like if it was a business, a job center instead of a donation or a retail store.
Goodwill's famous or infamous
like
for that.
There's a really good chance. There's one region in particular I know that we didn't keep track, like because of how we're doing it differently now. But so we may be inclined to make the same mistakes over again. So it's not a bad idea to not only refresh and research different thrift options in your neighborhood, but kind of keep track. And we're not suggesting you make another spreadsheet, but just have some sort of way. So again, you're not making the same mistakes over again. And if it's a place that you want to go back to, like if you just had the best experience there, or you see great potential for future great experiences, by all means, make a note so that you know, hey, I need to get back to this one.
Yeah, very, very important. And we started doing that with the Trello, which I will be sharing with you guys, but we've started just kind of putting in, all right, this date, like I made like a board and like, all right, these are the Charlotte Goodwills, and each one has a card. And like on this day we went there and we got, you know, 15 pair of jeans and 6 pair of shoes. And spent this amount. So we can kind of quickly look and scan down that and see whether it's a really good location or not. And that way we just kind of know, but we kind of know the Charlotte stores really well anyway, but there's other ones that, you know, we go to infrequently, even in Charlotte, we kind of forget or think, oh, that was really good. And then we look back, it's like, it was just sort of okay. Or maybe we thought that wasn't that great, but it was actually pretty good. So good thing to do. All right, we got to get off number 1. That took way too long. Number 2, knock one item off your to-do list you've been putting off. So we talked about a few videos ago having a monthly to-do list.
And one of the things on that to-do list is conquering one of those to-do things that you keep pushing further and further down the list.
Yeah. And today would be a great day if you're off from work. Maybe it was just, you know, you got that one bin over in the corner. You just want to get listed or at least go through and figure out what the heck you've got in there.
Or donate your non-sellers, or organize this, or clean that.
Yeah, and there could be lots of things. There can be things that aren't just, you know, task oriented. There could be things around learning. Maybe you wanted to read a book that's really going to help you, you know, improve your, you know, your mental aptitude for this business, or just in general, maybe just your, you know, your personal life. Great day to do it. You know, at least get started. And so I think there's always value in that. Number 3. This also is a list we talked about the other day. Research a brand or niche you've been interested in. So, you know, I was thinking about that today. It's like, I actually kind of have too many other things to do today to concentrate on that one. I have a ridiculously busy day off because we were out of town over the weekend. And as you guys know, when you're out of town, you come back, it's like, you feel like you just got to get back into everything, you know, and we were sourcing while we went, but it was more of a family trip as well. We had a big component of that. So, but researching a brand or a niche you've been interested in a while is always worthwhile. And maybe you just learned that I don't want to sell in this niche. I don't want to sell these brands. Doesn't make sense. Then again, maybe you learn, this is pretty good. And I would say with brands, you could probably do more than one in a day, right, Karin? It doesn't take that long to research a brand.
Yeah, and when you talked about, you know, researching a new brand, I think on the last list we talked about, you know, give yourself 15 minutes. We're not suggesting you sit down there for a couple hours, just, you know, just a little sliver of time in your day where you're learning something new, researching, reaching out, getting something that you don't already have in your toolbox.
Yeah, just knock out a brand, knock out, you know, maybe check out a category, see if it's worth further study or not, and if you want to pursue it, and if not, that's fine too. Number 4. Dun, 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 dun. We're like halfway through. How do you get halfway through 7?
I don't know.
3.5.
3.5.
All right.
There's no 3.5.
Well, you know. All right. Take an inventory of your listings and stock. Now, we've talked about this. We are in the middle of an inventory. We started last week. It is not a quick process.
Nope. Nor a very fun one.
Nope. I would not. I would say on the list of fun things to do, inventory does not make the list. Nope. Not for me. And I'm kind of geeky about stuff like this, but even this, I'm like, I just want to get this done and move on. But however, we are finding tremendous amounts of items and things that some have little tiny flaws or errors, like maybe something was misspelled or wrong in the title. Or in other things, it's like, I think we found like 1 or 2 that were not listed that we thought were listed and vice versa. So,
and things that eBay has for sale that we don't.
Right. So, you know, doing an inventory or at least figuring out how to do it during a day. I don't know if you can get it. I mean, it depends on how many items you have, guys. Like if you have 1,000 items or more and you're going to try to do that all in one day, you're probably not going to get that done. I mean, that's a lot unless you've got help. Even Karin and I, it's taking us both like almost an hour to do 1 rack of jeans. It just takes a while. But you could at least get started, you know, at least make a plan and say, all right, I'm going to start going through and figuring out what I have. Does it match what eBay says I have? Because if you've been selling for a while on eBay and you've been going through a lot of items and you got dozens or hundreds of items you're going through per month, you're going to make some mistakes and eBay is going to make some mistakes. And eBay's not going to catch it for you. You have to catch it for yourself. I mean, it's your business. You're reselling. You're part-time. You're full-time. You've got to be the one to go in and find, you know, what you're trying to get done. And someone said in the chat, they said, you know, 1 location per day. You can do that with your inventory. Like if you've got a shoe rack behind you like these, you can say, I'm going to go and inventory those shoe racks and make sure that they're correct with what eBay says is there or not there. And then you're done. You got peace of mind. You're like, I know at least, but this date, this area is done. It's right. It's correct. It's listed correctly. I'm not saying go into all the listings and figure out, you know, if your photos and things, I mean, that's kind of a whole separate set of issues.
We'll do that another day.
Yeah. I actually talk a little bit about that here coming up. But the inventory itself is going to key you. It's going to key you into like maybe some things that you have wrong in your systems, maybe some things that eBay has had a glitch with. And you're not going to find them, guys. They're just sitting there costing you money, costing you a headache. I mean, they're a headache waiting to happen when you sell that item that you don't have or when you don't sell it because it's not listed. And it's just sitting there. And you don't even know it until you go look. And you're like, well, how many is it? Like, I didn't think we'd find as many as we have so far. I'm kind of surprised. But then I realized the last time I did an inventory, I was not as thorough as we've been with this one. So those mistakes have been sitting there because some of those were there from the last time. So they've just been sitting there all that time, screwed up. For lack of a better word.
We're purposefully spending a little bit more time and being a little bit more deliberate and specific. But that doesn't mean you have to. I know that some folks actually will do a rolling spot check of listings. We're just in a position where with the jeans in particular, we've not only done a physical count, but we spoke about it before where we're comparing it. It's this triangle and we're comparing all 3 together. So it's the physical inventory, our spreadsheet inventory, and then eBay's CSV or what they say we have. And so we're having to compare all 3 of those. And it's, you know, again, it's mistakes like a pair of maternity pants, AG maternity pants that don't have the word maternity in the title. Well, somebody looking for AG maternity pants is not going to find those jeans. So we added that one. We had a couple of, you know, Levi's signature jeans that didn't say signature in the title.
Right.
Not that we want to carry a lot of those, mind you, but that's a whole nother story. But there's just a lot of things that we're finding that we have to do every now and then. You just have to do a really thorough spring cleaning, if you will. And it's not spring, I know it, but there you go.
Yeah, and it's not fun. All right.
Did we say that already? It's not fun?
We did. It's still not fun, but it's one of those necessary things, you know? It's like waiting to get your oil changed in your car.
It's like getting your wisdom teeth yanked out.
Number 5, check your listings for all the basics. Now, you may not be able to go through all your listings, but somebody messaged me the other day and asked me to look at their store and look at some of their listings because they weren't selling. And I found like some consistent problems they were having over and over. One of which was this person was taking photos that were fuzzy. And if you looked at them like in the smaller, if you look at them just kind of like, you know, in a whole list of listings, probably couldn't tell because it's too small. But anytime you tapped on a photo, went into it, you could tell it was not in focus. And there were some other things too, where their color was not the same from photo to photo. But, you know, maybe go in and I like your word, spot check. Spot check some of your listings and say, you know, are these listings, maybe ones you have that haven't sold in a while? Do they have a good title? Are the photos accurate? Is there anything wrong with the listing now? Did anything break? Like I relisted a couple the other week, and one of the photos was broken from it. It did not, the photo was not listed, and it had been on eBay. I'm not really sure why that happened, but I had to take another photo of it. So, you know, things like that you're not going to catch unless you go in and look from time to time. I'm not saying go through all your listings. It's probably way too much to do that. But maybe go through some of your older ones and make some decisions. Maybe you'll look at your keywords, your pricing, see if you can, you know, get rid of some of these. Yeah, the photo was corrupted. That's the word I was looking for, Adam. Corrupted.
It broke.
It broke, which was interesting. Like, and I didn't know it. It wasn't the main photo, but it was like the second or third photo. I want to say it was of the size tag. So it wasn't critical, but somebody could have been looking at it and wanted to see, you know, like how much cotton or elastane was in this pair of jeans. And they wouldn't have been able to see it from that because the photo was broken. So, you know, going through your photos, going through your listings, your titles, your keywords, your pricing. I mean, that's a good habit to get into every once in a while. I'm not the best about doing it, to be quite honest. I am definitely not, you know, the best model. This might be a do as I say and not as I do. But I recognize the value in it when I do it, because I'm like, oh, I change prices on things and things, or change, you know, a few keywords here or there if something's wrong, and things move. They do sell. So
a little self-reflection, another way you can spend your time today.
Yes. Number 6, and this goes back to photos. This is right up your alley. I was thinking about this one earlier. Try a new method for taking photos. Because eBay is very photo centric, right? And a lot of us, you know, there's a lot of people in the chat rooms and the Facebook groups and so on who are like, what about this background? Or what about these shots of this particular type of, you know, orienting the product like this?
This angle, this fold, this orientation. Yeah. I
tried some today. I didn't know if I told you that.
No, you did not.
I did.
Oh my, do tell.
We have kind of an off creamy colored table that we lay jeans on a lot of times to take photos. And sometimes I don't like the coloring of that in the background. So I put the white foam board underneath the jeans for all but one shot, just to kind of see what it would look like over a series of them. So we'll see. I'm actually going to list those after the show. So we'll see how they kind of turn out. But just trying something a little different, see if I could get it to look a little more crisp.
Or not like it's been taken on your linoleum floor or the carpet or the furry whatever.
Yeah.
You know, just try something different.
Try with a different camera.
Yeah.
If you've got one.
Different lighting, different, you know, sometimes we'll fold them. Like I've seen some lately where the jeans in particular, and I don't know if I like them yet or not, but it almost looks like the jean has turned into a shirt. Like the legs are like this and like this. So it looks like they're going, wee! Like the jeans are going, wee! So, you know.
That's funny. I know what you're talking about. Like, I'm not a huge fan of that shot, but there's probably some people who would be drawn to it and like, oh, that's new.
Yeah. The main thing is, remember, like, white space is not bad. You know, in advertising, that's actually an attention getter. Give the eye some rest there.
Yeah.
And make it clear and accurate on your colors. So without going, you know, too crazy, like I wouldn't put like a Mickey Mouse figurine there. No, although we have had some people like purposefully, it's a little gimmicky, but we've known people to maybe purposefully put something upside down. Right. That'll only work so many times. So if you're looking for something consistent, I would make a change and replicate it. Right. You know, not something kind of, you know, state fairish where you're, you know, doing something silly, because that's only going to get you so far. Yeah. I was going to say too, like, you know, just be willing to experiment with that a little bit. You know, a day off is a great day to do that. Try a couple different things to see if you like it. You certainly don't have to keep doing it that way if you don't care for it. And we talked about this the other day. Oh, I don't remember what I was going to say. It's in reference to shoes. We're actually we normally kind of take the first shot. It's got both shoes are kind of offset. One's up on a riser, and that's usually our first shot of a pair of shoes. I think we're going to try some with just the one shoe is the main photo, because you can get closer, you can see more detail on it, and in the next shot we can have both together. But we don't take that shot currently. Yeah, our opener is going to be, our money shot now is going to be just a single shoe, and we're going to see how that goes. Yeah, because I've been sort of just less than impressed with our shoe sales. And maybe part of it is like when you here's the thing, guys, like when you take I got two here. Yeah. Like if you've got two pair of shoes that are like this and they're kind of like this, you've got to be further away from the camera with the camera to get both of them in the shot, right? It's two things. But if you've got one, you can get in a lot closer and you can see more detail. And I think when people are looking through our shoe listings, potentially on mobile, them to see what the shoe is, because it's two shoes and it's a little further back to take both shoes in. And so we're going to try the single shoe shot. That's hard to say. Sally sell. No. Yeah. And there's things we can do with how we position it. We have an acrylic riser that we put it on, and I like to drape our white all the way behind it so it loses the background. If you make your white light bright enough, the background disappears. So it's as if the shoe is floating and you can't see anything else. So that's what we're shooting for in our shoe. We're going to try that and see how that works. But that's the kind of thing you could try like on a day like today when you've got maybe the day off. Try a couple. I mean, you don't have to go through and reshoot all. Here's the thing, guys. Anything you change in your business like this too, if you do end up making some sort of change in the way you photograph things, for instance, forward. You don't have to necessarily go back and redo everything. You know, I would just do it from this point forward, buying and selling things. And that way you're not having to go back. You're not doing all this double work. You could go back if you feel like you can, things if you feel like it's successful, but it's going to take you a while before you try a new method to figure out if it really works or not. You're not going to see the difference in sales for maybe weeks or even a month or two. Go back and do that to all your listings, and then you find out, oh, that wasn't such a good idea. At some point, though, should you maybe go back and redo some of the oldest ones? I know where you're going with this, but it's not going to happen. So we always know when it's a listing from, which was over 2 years ago, because they'll be like on the carpet, or they'll be hanging up on the guest room door, like behind the door or something. She's making fun of my photos in an indirect way. No, actually a pretty direct way. Okay. But all right. So number 7, interesting one I just thought of today, and I was like, because I was sitting there thinking, I was like, I want to come up with like 7 things to tell everybody what I've been thinking. And I knew some of them I kind of had in my brain, but this one's a little bit different. One question about eBay that you've been pondering to a Facebook group, a YouTube channel, whatever. There's some question we all have. Like I have lots of questions about eBay and business in general, and I usually don't ask a lot of them because one, I think I can figure it out on my own, which sometimes is true, but sometimes isn't, or I figure it out and it's the wrong idea. But ask a question that you've been wondering about, even if you think it's a very basic or elementary question. See what kind of response you get. You might be surprised, and it might send you off in a whole other direction
with your business. It might get you thinking about things in a different way. Maybe it is something about photos. Maybe it's something about sourcing. Maybe it's something about, you know, selling overseas on eBay, whatever it is. But ask a question that you've been pondering for a while and just put it out there in the universe. You know, this is a YouTube channel, guys. You learn things on YouTube by going to channels and interacting with the people who are making the content, as well as the people in the community in the show we have going on right now, or in the comments later. And that's how you learn. I learn, you learn, we all learn. This is how we interact with each other and we learn things, because nobody knows all this stuff. All the answers, the questions, much less the answers.
Well, and everybody does it differently. So in at least putting the question out into the universe, whether it's in this chat, as a comment on this video later, or like you said, in a Facebook group or one-on-one or somewhere, whatever, start the dialogue. Because what I think you'll find is interesting is just about everybody, I know that a lot of us will have similar answers, but always there's going to be somebody, at least one or two people, that are going to take it from a completely different angle. And that's so refreshing. And then it allows you to experiment with it as well. And who knows, that might actually work better for you. We've had a lot of recently in our Facebook group where folks have asked, well, you know, I noticed that the mobile app isn't working the same. And, you know, how do you guys quickly upload your phone, you know, from your iPhone to the Mac, and you know, how do you do it, and what's the best way? And it's just amazing that everybody, you know, most everybody is supportive, and they give, you know, constructive. I don't know. I think it's an awesome idea. That's a good one. And it's a great segue, because if people have questions now,
you can answer right now. You can type the word question, question mark, somebody, and we'll do our best to answer them. So type that in the chat now, in the live chat, or if you're watching this later, you can type it in the comments section of the video.
Yeah, and if you asked a question earlier and we missed it, please forgive. We don't usually answer questions early on.
Right.
So feel free to just copy, paste it back or whatever, and we will.
Yeah, so thank you guys for coming out today. Already 85 people watching, so that's an awesome turnout on a Monday.
Everybody's working on their business today. They have the day off. They didn't go to the post office, so they're amping up their eBay-ness.
Check out the YouTube. What do you think they should do if they're enjoying the content, Karen?
Smash the like button, Mickey.
Who's Mickey?
Mickey Rooney. I don't know. It just came into my head.
Okay, so that was weird. So
when is it not?
That's here too. I have a couple weird requests from buyers that have been odd.
Yeah, and I have some show and tell.
Markdowns to use. Someone was asking about, and
how often they ask how often.
Now we're just running the promoted listings, which we were experimenting. I might go back to running a 5% markdown. The tricky thing about the promoted listings is, while it gets your visibility all over the platform, it does not lower the price for the buyer. And it costs you, you know, so you're getting more exposure, but charging the same price, but maybe it'll be more likely to sell. I mean, there's different ways of looking at it. On like a small markdown, I might try that to just kind of push through stuff as well. 5% off. We've run as high as 20% off before.
Mm-hmm. And what's your thought on this? A lot of folks have been talking about how the eBay is actually calling people from the States and asking them about the promoted listings thing. Off. I mean, what do you think? Is everybody going to be doing it? And then how special is it going to be?
I don't think everybody will be doing it. I mean, that's like saying, you know, everybody would go open a retail store and they'd all price things the same way. You know, they won't. You know, people, they run different types of sales. They run percentage offs. They run BOGOs. Some places never have a sale, period. You know, remember years ago, I mean, things changed. Remember years ago, you would go to the car dealership and you'd haggle about a sales price. Well, now a lot of car dealerships are like, well, there's no haggling. This is the price. You know, and they'll show you true car and show you what it is locally and all that nonsense. But, you know, they're just taking that out of it. They're reducing that stress between the buyer and the seller and saying, all right, well, we're going to sell them this way. So I think that, you know, the marketplace is always evolving and changing, but I don't think that there's not a one size fits all for all sellers on eBay to where they're all going to jump on and say, we're all going to do promoted listings. I mean, eBay would love that, I'm sure. I hope that doesn't happen, because then that gives an advantage to no one if everyone did it, because everyone's listings are getting pushed out more often. So I'm guessing there will just be a percentage of sellers that will do it. How many? I don't know. There's still probably people who don't even know it exists, much less is eligible for one-off items.
Susan's baling hay today instead of doing the eBay.
Okay.
Okay, so
that sounds like work.
Ivory Edwards wants to know if we think it would be worth it to sell their free inventory for cheap to get more feedback, and so they can source their interests. What do you think about that? Give it away now.
Ivory, that's an interesting question, but I think the role of feedback on eBay is not as influential, as important as it used to be. Because for lots of reasons. One, I think people are automating that feedback process so often now that I'm not sure how meaningful it is. Like a lot of sellers, I'm one of them, I usually send out feedback before the buyers, as soon as the buyer pays for it, because it's just another step for me to go in there and, add feedback. And then I got to track down, if I did have an issue, who it was and what happened. And so a lot of that is not as meaningful maybe as it used to be. It's not affecting your seller rating the same way it used to in the past. So I mean, you certainly can do that if you want to get practice on the site, whatever, and just move some items. But I just don't think I would worry about it too much for the feedback angle, if that makes sense. It's just not as important as it used to be.
Speaking of feedback and buyer interaction,
yeah,
you've at least got to tell that story about the one that you got all.
Oh yeah. So I've had a couple weird buyer requests. I had a best offer request for a pair of boots that I was selling, and the buyer has zero feedback, which is, but whatever. I'll sell to them. But they made a best offer, and the best offer was, I'll pay you the price you're asking and the shipping.
No problem.
No problem. But I need to wait until like 2 weeks from now, I guess, to pay. I was a little unclear how their message was. And they said the reason was they were doing this was because they'd had those shoes before and they got robbed.
At gunpoint.
At gunpoint. And I'm assuming no longer had the shoes. I don't know if that means the person took their shoes, the shoes got ruined. I have no idea. But that was literally the reason they said they wanted to wait. I'm not sure why they needed to wait.
And I'm not laughing because someone was potentially in danger, but it was last night, right, when we got back?
Yeah.
And I'm sitting at my computer and he's over at his, and he just said, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, huh? I've never seen that kind of request before. That was a strange one.
People have asked to hold, but we had, hold things for a period, until payday or whatever. And we weren't sure, like he said, did they get robbed and they took your shoes? Are you still being held at gunpoint?
It wasn't clear. And I didn't really know what they meant by to wait until that date. Like, what did that mean? Like, take them down, sell them but not ship them? I don't really even know what that meant.
So what'd you do? What'd you say?
Well, I haven't said anything yet. I'm not really sure how to respond.
So in the chat, what's your suggestion?
Yeah. And I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do with this one. Like, I feel like if I'm going to sell them, I need to get paid right away.
And it is a little tricky. Like we always try to be gracious to new buyers,
right,
as buyers are to new sellers. But you never know. And it was just kind of like out there, like, really?
Yeah. And I get, and it's possible that story is completely accurate and they're telling the truth. It's just, and they've had this hardship fall upon them. Mm-hmm. And this was one of the things. They jumped on eBay and happened to see the shoes that they lost. So they were willing to buy them, which is great for me, but I'm not really in the business of holding things for a week or 10 days or whatever. I think it was like till the 14th of this month, maybe.
So yeah, but it came in over the day before. So it's almost a 2-week hold.
Yeah.
And then do we take it off? And when you first got started, I remember that came up, and you've never really done auctions, but it was kind of, it kind of put your whole listing in limbo. And I think if I remember right, I want to say you were nice. And you might have even like they bought it and they didn't want you to ship it right away or something. Yeah. But then whenever you make deals outside of the TOS, terms of service for eBay.
Yeah.
One, you're breaking the law, you're breaking the rules. So you could put your own account in jeopardy, but you're also kind of putting your money, your feedback, your sale, whatever, in limbo as well. And you don't know, like you can't like print a label and then not take it to the post office, because then they're not going to scan it. You can't take something off of being listed, because then someone else might come along and pay you full price for it. You know, so.
Yeah, and Frankie says, that's Frankie says. Remember back in the 80s?
Relax, don't do it.
All right, stop. Says you could say that we don't hold items, and if it's available when they come back to purchase it, there you go. And that's maybe what I'll do. I'll just say, hey, I understand. Sorry to hear that. You know, I just can't hold it. And if I sell it to them too, and they don't pay, like my unpaid item assistant will automatically open a case, I think, after 2 days. And I'm not going to take that off just for that listing, or it's just too much trouble, you know, and too many unknowns there. I mean, I'm here to sell things, not go jump through all these hoops for somebody in a very specific circumstance like that. I'm sympathetic. I just can't run my business that way. I'll be doing just nonsense like that. But I don't know. Carl says he sold a bicycle helmet and the buyer asked to split the payment, which he did, and then they paid basically half of it but didn't pay the rest. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's just weird things like that just don't benefit your business very often, and I just don't think there's any really good reason to do that. So I don't think they're scamming me. I just think it's a weird request I can't really meet.
Yeah, and we can't accommodate all of them. And you're not trying to be mean, but when it comes down to a very large portion of things that we do in business, it's just business. It's not personal.
You sound like you work for the mob or something there.
I do work for the mob. No, I really don't. So can I do show and tell?
Yes.
And these ended up being things that I bought. And one day we'll talk about sourcing without technology, because I probably would have bought these had I not had my phone anyway.
Okay.
Because they were worth it. They were novelty. We were in Virginia, and we went to the outlet.
They're not worth it.
It was a talking point. They'll say that what I did was right, because we could talk about it and play show and tell.
Say whatever you
want.
So
I'm going to show you two things: one pair of jeans and one pair of shoes. And because we bought them, I bought them with my own money at the outlet. It means that I'm going to sell them on my eBay store. But because I bought them, they ended up, the average of the two was like $1.52 each. Okay.
Right.
All right. So I grabbed these. They are Calvin Klein jeans, and they're nothing special, right? They're just little skinny pants. But the reason I brought them for show and tell is, as I was, you know, spot checking my quality control right there in the moment, I noticed, well, that's kind of peculiar. They have belt loops on the inside. And then upon further inspection, I thought you guys, and maybe some of you, just be gentle, maybe some of you already have seen these before, but I've never seen reversible Calvin Kleins before. And that's exactly what these are. So they have this kind of leopardy print on the inside, and then just the standard Calvin Klein pocket on the outside. And then they have their size tag inside one of the pockets. And I thought that would be kind of cool. So I paid $1.52 for them. I'll probably sell them for like $6 or $7, but that's not the point. To me, it was worth it as a talking point to come and bring them back and play show and tell. Have you guys ever seen these before?
I've never seen them either. I don't think.
So there. And
but if I did, I wouldn't have picked them up because they're not worth anything.
All right. So anyway, so we've played show and tell now, and we can see that there's these pants, and they're kind of cool. So there you go.
You just hit me. I'm not sure if that was on camera, but you're all my witness.
You just wait.
What else you got there, Trixie?
All right. And these, again, I would have bought these anyway.
These are kind of weird. We're not sure what. Go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
No, you say what you're going to say. Why are they weird?
Because we don't. Is that the ones we don't know what they are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm getting better at finding the shoes. And in particular, I have an eye for the old and the vintage with shoes. And I found a couple of pair that have been pretty cool. And these caught my attention. And Tino's on vacation, so we're not going to bug him to help identify them. But they have the union stamp. They have a barefoot neoprene cork bottom. And there you go. So if you can see, I'll use my black light to look them up, but they're in awesome shape. They've got a lot of weight to them. And I was curious, and for $1.52, what's the big deal?
Yeah. Well, he mentioned he thought they might be Florsheim.
Yeah.
But I need to show him the label. I don't think they are, though, because you can sort of see what they are.
Yeah, you can sort of make out the...
And it doesn't look like it would be that, but it's really hard to tell. Actually, your black light's a good idea. Maybe there's an imprint of the letters that you can see that you can't see with regular
and a lot
light.
of times, with your iPhone, you can play with the flash on it.
Someone said Dexter's. That could be.
No, it's not a Dexter. It has a P in it. Thermopolis or something. No, seriously, it looks like a TH. Thorogood. That's what it says.
Thorogood?
Or food. Thorough food. Thoroughbred. No, there's a little like something cursive that comes down towards the end of the word. So it's
we are no closer to knowing the answer than we were.
Something furred. I don't know. But by the time the day is over, I will know what these are. And, we talk a lot about if I'm out and about by myself, or if I don't have my phone, or if I can't get a signal. With the knowledge that I have, I probably would have bought both of them, jeans and all, for $1, whatever. So there you go. So that's my show and tell for today.
Yeah, and they were cheap pickups, so you got to take a risk there. It's not a lot of risk. Somebody asked about comps on the Calvin Kleins. I think I found one that sold, and it only sold for like $7.
$7.62. Was it free shipping? I can't remember.
No, I don't think so. I think they charged shipping. I think there was shipping involved.
We were not in the best part of town, and it wasn't the time or place to have a sourcing argument. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had already been making friends with the locals that go back and forth, trying to feel me out for, well, why is she looking at every pair of shoes in the big old bin or whatever?
We got the are they resellers stare when we walked in.
Yeah, we got the stare down. And in this particular one, it's cute because there's a couple of fellas that are there 24/7, it seems. And some people are just, they just go about their business, they push you out of the way, whatever. But this guy, he was cute because he was real subtle about, I can't tell what kind of shoes these are and something. And I showed him, of course, and went on about my business. And then he showed up at the retail side and then back on the outlet side. But
that's, that could be a whole thing there. You could try to fool other resellers by saying, man, I just don't have any more money to buy these, but I know they'll sell for a lot.
No, don't do that.
Don't do that.
That's mean. We do not do that.
We don't do that.
And more often than not, I'll help people if I'm not going to buy it.
She's very helpful.
More power to you. Because, one man's, I'm at a loss, but one man's trash is another man's treasure, right?
Yeah.
So, your price point might be $50, $60, $70 for your selling price, right? But other folks are doing more volume and they're good with $20 or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's with the particular shoes that he picked up. I want to say they were, Path, P-A-T-H. I hadn't seen these particular, like, big kind of almost boot looking things, but.
Yeah. We went out of town, guys, and there's a good tip for you. Just anytime you're going out of town, find somewhere new to source, and we actually hit a store in my parents' hometown that we had not hit before. Did we know it was there? We kind of knew it was there the last time we went, but it was kind of far away from us by the time we figured it out. Mm-hmm. So we decided not to go back to it. It would have added like another hour to our day. And
that's a whole nother show and tell thing, because we actually ended up finding some very high-end men's shoes. Were they the Allen Edmonds?
Yeah, they were pretty good.
Yeah,
they're pretty good. So we'll do that for another topic, because we're gonna do a show about buying higher dollar items. Mm-hmm. Kind of what goes into that decision making process, and how to justify that, because we did buy, that was probably the most expensive pair of shoes we bought, and it wasn't a lot.
No,
but that was probably the most expensive pair we bought.
But at a Goodwill, it sure was.
Yeah, the Goodwill was pretty pricey. The Goodwills there were pretty good.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
The jeans were $430, $439, $449, $449.
Yeah, and the shoes were only adult shoes were only $3. And the tax rate was less.
Yeah, it's like 7, I think, or 6 point.
And in addition to bursting into apple bottom jeans, much to his chagrin, I was doing a shoe test on some Bjorndal, like old cloggy things. And of course I did the bend test, and kapow, they snapped in half. And has that ever happened to you when you're in the middle of the store?
Yeah.
And you look left and you look right, praying
like, I
that
just broke
nobody,
shoes.
like, you break it, you buy it. That's how I grew up, right? So I'm looking around, making sure nobody could see me. And then I just kind of put them back on the thing. But they did. They just sort of shredded.
So you put back broken shoes for the next reseller.
I did.
So you kind of did do what we said we
I did a bad thing. But I felt, it was like the little kid suddenly.
These. You would have taken them to the front.
Please, sir, forgive me. I've broken your shoes. But we did see a pair. We were encouraged because a lot of times, for one, broken zippers have not been a predominant thing. Used to be a couple of years ago, we would see them all over the place, and it drove me crazy.
Yeah.
Because you don't sell those for the same. But we were at a place, one of the Goodwills, the first ones that we stopped at, had this really, really pretty pair of Coogis. They were girls' pants with this very ornate embroidery on the back. And she said, oh yeah, those are only $4 or whatever. And I'm like, but she said the zipper's broken. And I just gave her props because I said, well, it's really cool that you guys pulled them.
Right.
Because a lot of times they don't. But this particular Goodwill made a point to take them off of the rack. And they wouldn't have been worth it for us to replace the zipper. We don't do that anyway.
Right.
But it was just kind of neat. So.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for this show. So hope you enjoyed it. Check out the links down below for some helpful info. And do what else, Karen?
Smash the like button. Make a thumbs up.
We plan to be back on Wednesday at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So I hope you guys have a great Labor Day. And I hope these tips at the beginning help you out.
This is Karen.
And Prof Sales
saying good sales to you.